वॉरेन बफेट पे बहुत बुक्स लिखी गई है एंड राइटली सो. ही इज वन ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट इन्वेस्टर्स इन द वर्ल्ड. बट ये बुक डिफरेंट है. और द रीजन व्हाई दिस बुक इज डिफरेंट इज बिकॉज इट एक्चुअली कवर्स द अर्लियर पार्ट ऑफ हिज जर्नी. अगर आपने वॉरेन बफेट के पार्टनरशिप लेटर्स पढ़े हैं विच गो फ्रॉम द पीरियड ऑफ अराउंड 1955-53 to 1967. So that is the kind of 10-12 years range है. अगर आपने वो पढ़े हैं so you get a very good idea of कैसे बफेट उस टाइम पे सोचते थे अपने इन्वेस्टमेंट्स के बारे में. बट इस बुक ने एक्चुअली हैज गॉन वन स्टेप फर्दर. ही हैज द राइटर has outlined different case studies and gone into much more depth about what was happening, what was the context of those companies and how Warren Buffett was thinking at that time, right? Based on a lot of other evidence जो शायद partnership letters में available नहीं है. So that is why this book is kind of special and is different because ये book एक gap cover करती है जो शायद से और books उतने अच्छे तरीके से अभी तक जिन्होंने cover नहीं किए. Nonetheless, बहुत सारी केस स्टडीज हैं इस बुक में. द रीजन व्हाई आई एम पिकिंग द अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस स्टोरी विच इज, इफ यू रिकॉल और इफ यू हैव रेड, वॉरेन बफेट इन्वेस्टेड 40% of his fund in 1964 in American Express, and this bet paid off really really well. In fact, ये singular ऐसी bet थी जिसकी वजह से उनका partnership record जो है it stands out. Right? There were other great bets also over his 10-year periods. On average, he had about one big sized position every 1.5 years, and this was one of the biggest positions, right? So a lot of people जो वॉरेन बफेट को फॉलो करते हैं वो इस बेट के बारे में कि वॉरेन बफेट ने तो 40% अपना फंड एक स्टॉक में डाल दिया था. लॉट ऑफ पीपल यूज इट एज अ काइंड ऑफ वैलिडेशन कि शायद से हमें भी कॉन्सेंट्रेट करना चाहिए. और कॉन्सेंट्रेशन इज लुक्ड एट एज अ थिंग कि लोग बड़ा छाती चौड़ी करके बोलते हैं कि हमने तो 20% डाल दिया और 30% डाल दिया या डालना चाहिए. और अगर आप ज्यादा डाइवर्सिफाई कर रहे हैं तो देयरफॉर only fools diversify and all that. I think there is a lot more nuance to that, and most of the people who use that quote or use this example do not understand those nuances. So that is the purpose of this video, why I have taken American Express. Now, a great way to start this is to kind of look at a business as a movie, not as a still photograph. जब मैं initially, when I started my journey as a equity analyst, as a fundamental investor, our view was very limited to उस साल क्या हुआ है. And naturally, this is a very limited view, and I urge you, अगर आप beginner है, if you're already at whatever stage you are in, I would recommend that you use this mental framework to kind of approach your investments, to look where the story is coming from and where it is going. It will help you evaluate your investments in a much better way. तो इसके साथ हम शुरू करते हैं. और इसी के साथ what I realized was that the Amex bet is basically 3 different stories that converged in 1964 and became what we now know it for, which is the legendary 40% Warren Buffett bet. But इसके काफी nuances हैं, और ये nuances 3 different storylines में connect होते हैं, 3 parallel realities कह लीजिए जो 1964 में converge हुई, right? पहली है Angelino Tino, right? Angelis DeTino. So this is a person who was responsible for why American Express, the company's stock, fell massively. We'll get into the story. Secondly, we will also discuss where American Express was as a company at that time. And third, Warren Buffett, where Warren Buffett was coming from and how the American Express bet was kind of slightly different. What was the context, the valuation? So ये सारी चीजें अब हम डिस्कस करेंगे. तो पहली स्टोरी है एंजेलिस डिटिनो की. तो पहली स्टोरी है मिस्टर टीनो की, राइट? दिस इज अ शॉर्ट फॉर हिज फुल नेम, एंजेलिस DeTino or something of that nature. So let's start off with that. So Tino was, there's no better way to put it, he was a con man. He had a history of multiple wrongdoings, and by the time he chose or he approached one of the subsidiaries of American Express, which was American Warehousing, right? By the time he approached that, his record was already out there, his reputation was not great. So first of all, it is surprising to begin with that American Express decided to take him on as a client. But in a way, it is also not surprising because, corporate history, even the best of corporations have, there are all kinds of people working in any corporation, right? So this is a prime example of how a well-run corporation went horribly wrong, right? And so Tino had a record, right? What the idea that he was doing with American Warehouse was very simple. What he was doing is he was sourcing soybean oil from the Midwest, and he was getting it transported to this place called Bayonne in New Jersey. और यहाँ पे इनके गोडाउन थे जहाँ पे ऑयल स्टोर होता था, और यहीं से शिप होके आगे the oil used to go into the rest of the world. उस समय I believe US was running a anti-hunger or US for hunger program where they used to ship food to different parts of the world, and soybean was one of the products that was shipped, and so he used to get paid by the US government on this program, right? So this is what he used to do. He used to source oil, he used to refine it, he used to store it in New Jersey, and then ship it forward to wherever it was supposed to go, right? It's a very, very simple business model. It is not very different from this is where this is a photograph where the oil was actually stored, and this is not very different from what a lot of companies do even today. And मेरे लिए काफी बड़ी insight थी because as मैं book पढ़ रहा था मुझे realize हुआ कि there are a lot of similarities between businesses and what they were doing largely 50, 60, 70 years ago and now, right? And that is a common thread throughout reading this book. All the business models that were discussed in Warren Buffett's context in the 60s, 50s have some form or some related kind of business that we have today, even in India as well. So oil refining is very, very common. Edible oils, Patanjali Foods, Adani Wilmar, Gokul Agro, by the way, the stock is doing well. So these are very low margin business. And the reason why I mention the low margin is because what people in the industry were confused about is if Angelo, and what he used to do is Tino used to pay more. So he wasn't the lowest cost producer or sourcer of this edible oil. So in a commodity like business, जहाँ पे आपकी competitive advantage is lowest cost sourcing or lower than the others, if you're overpaying for your oil and then also paying to ship it and then refine it and then ship it forward, it's very hard to it's almost impossible to make a profit, which is what the industry chatter was around that time कि ये बंदा पैसा बना कैसे रहा है, ठीक है? तो that was a concern to begin with going in, right? And also, like we said, there is a record that Tino has. So in 1958, he was almost indicted by the Security and Exchange Commission, जो हमारा जो SEBI है, इनका SEC होता है US में, and he basically was almost indicted based on a testimony by a former employee that Gobel was basically a meat packing company, that he used to, that Tino basically borrowed based on this collateral that never existed. So this kind of what he was doing or what he was about to do with American Express, the man was already indicted before, almost indicted. Unfortunately, the whole case collapsed because जो witness था उसने अपनी testimony change कर ली थी, right? But this is a person with a shady record, and by the time in 1957 he approached American Warehousing to kind of do the edible oil business, उसका reputation काफी बुरा था to begin with, right? So this is Food for Peace program that I mentioned. So this is a little bit about that, right? And so the model, actually what he was doing was very simple, okay? So this is an example of a warehouse receipt for cotton, right? This is not for the edible oil, but this is how it used to work. So Tino would bring the oil, keep it in New Jersey. New Jersey में there would be a third party inspector that would verify कि वो oil है वहाँ पे, और उस ऑयल के लिए वो रिसीट्स जारी करते थे। उस रिसीट को यूज करके टीनो, जो उसकी कंपनी का नाम था एलॉयड, सॉरी नॉट एलॉयड, एलाइड वेजिटेबल्स सर्विसेज और समथिंग लाइक दैट, दे यूज टू टेक दोज रिसीट्स, गो टू द बैंक एंड से कि देखो हमारे पास इतनी इन्वेंट्री है, आप हमें इस इन्वेंट्री के बेसिस पे लेंड करो पैसा, राइट? सो दिस वाज द होल बिजनेस मॉडल, राइट? एंड ऑब्वियसली where does American Express warehousing come into play? So these guys, the American Express, I think the corporate head office decided around 1945, almost 10 years before they started working with Tino, that hey look, let's make some extra money. What we'll do is we'll basically issue these receipts for these different companies that hold inventory for commodities, and we'll make some easy money because karna kuch hai nahi. We just have to make sure that the inventory is there and kind of issue a receipt. The reason why American warehousing की जो subsidiary थी, American Express warehousing, the reason why that made sense for American Express is because their business was built on trust that they enjoyed with the rest of the banking sector, right? Because they had the money order business, they had their traveler checks, and even उनकी history जो हम जाएंगे अभी was about working with banks and solving a very critical problem of carrying cash from one place to another, right? So these are the kind of receipts that American Express warehousing used to issue for somebody like Tino, right? Tino would use those receipts, go to the bank and get a loan, right? Now what he did with that loan is another story. He used to gamble in the commodities market, and obviously commodities market mein you can take leverage, so that part is also a problem, and he was speculating heavily with that money, right? But this is where American Express warehousing का role आता है, where they are kind of the guarantor कि भाई हमने receipt जो issue की है उसका जो तेल हम बोल रहे हैं वो वहीं पे है जहां पे होना चाहिए, right? So this is basically the context, the background of that. And American Express basically by 1963, they realized they had guaranteed 1.3 billion pounds of soybean oil. And what inspectors actually found when the bankruptcy process was eventually started in November 1963 is there's only 134 million pounds of oil at Bayonne, right? Where the location where the oil should be. So obviously this was a huge discrepancy, and yep, 134 million, and the bankruptcy process revealed $210 million of claims. So all of a sudden American Express, जिनको जो घुसे थे बिजनेस ये सोच के कि हाँ ये तो इजी बिजनेस है, and it is actually easy, but because the subsidiary, the main guy Donald Miller, who was running this subsidiary, because he became influenced by Tino, and he was also holding shares in Angelino Tino's companies. So obviously he was a compromised employee, and therefore because of those reasons the fraud kind of kept on going. And the bankruptcy process actually revealed $210 million of claims against the American Express Corporation, जो basically the main company थी. And in contrast to that, they had equity of 78 million in 1963. So obviously it was a crisis. पूरी company में जितनी equity नहीं है उससे ज़्यादा claims आ गए, right? So this is the side where kind of this is how things were developing from the Tino part of the story. इसी दौरान एक और बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग या अनफॉर्चुनेट चीज हुई जहां पे नवंबर 22, 1963 में JFK, जॉन कैनेडी जो प्रेसिडेंट थे यूएस के उस दौरान, he was assassinated. So obviously that was again a big negative event, but stock market did react negatively. But जो American Express है, by virtue of this issue where bankruptcy was filed for the American warehousing receipt, and they realized that there are $210 million of claims, obviously that was a huge negative and the stock kept falling. By the way, bankruptcy भी American Express ने क्यों, जब तक bankruptcy नहीं उन्होंने फाइल की तब तक इन्हें पता नहीं था कि फ्रॉड चल रहा है, and for at least 2-3 years there were multiple inspections, but हम हर बार तीनों किसी ना किसी तरह उन inspections में भी कुछ compromised employees को use करके या किसी को खिला के या whatever, he was getting away with it. Finally American Express filed for bankruptcy and they thought कि यार business में ही पैसा नहीं बन रहा है हमारा, so let's just file. So they didn't know until they filed bankruptcy that there was a problem here, and that's when the whole thing kind of came out, right? So like I said, around the same time another unfortunate event happened where Kennedy was assassinated, right? And this is what happened to the stock in November 1963. It was down, I believe, 40 to 50% within 2 weeks, right? So it's a huge fall. And obviously, in a fall like that, there's a lot of uncertainty because you don't know how things are going to play out. And if your equity is 78 million, your claims are 3 times the equity of the entire company, it is a very worrying sign, right? Now, before we get to this, we'll come back to this graph multiple times. But yeah, this is very interesting. So Warren Buffett did not buy the stock at least 6 महीने तक, almost 5 months. So late November में stock गिरता है 40%, 50%, or at least till May, June, Warren Buffett was not buying the stock, right? So that is also something to think about, because ये bias जो है, anchoring bias जो है, even I have suffered from this in my journey, where you see a large blue chip well-run name or a relatively relatable name and it falls by 30-40%, and all of a sudden think in your mind, you think the value was what the stock price where it was falling from, without appreciating कि क्या उसके nuances हैं उस particular story के. So ये I think बहुत ज़्यादा होता है हमारे साथ, right? So this is something to watch out for, right? Coming back, there was another interesting part of the story that was problematic with American Express particularly, is their corporate structure. So American Express was not a corporation. In a standard corporation, what happens is, you might have heard just the LLP, it's a partnership where you have limited liability partnership, which means कि company या partnership की liabilities जो हैं वो individual की liabilities नहीं होती हैं. This is a fundamental of how companies are structured. Unfortunately, या fortunately, depends how you look at it, at what time you look at it. American Express के केस में ऐसा नहीं था. इनके American Express was a joint stock association and the ownership of the company was accessible. What does this mean? Accessible. It means that shareholders were personally liable for the debts of the company, which is normally not the case, and it was the only major publicly traded security which was a joint stock association, right? So this nuance also was a kind of unique thing that was not normally the case, and iski wajah se what happened was a lot of the large institutions like banks या trust departments, big funds that were holding the fund, they panicked because they said कि यार एक तो हमारी इन्वेस्टमेंट भी जीरो हो जाएगी क्योंकि इक्विटी 78 मिलियन है, जो क्लेम्स आए हैं वो 200 मिलियन है, राइट? एक तो हमारी इक्विटी जीरो हो जाएगी, राइट, इन्वेस्टमेंट पे. दूसरा, नॉट ओनली जीरो बट वील एक्चुअली बी लायबल और हेल्ड रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर पेइंग द डेट्स of American Express warehousing, right? So that was obviously a big problem, right? And because of this nuance, a lot of these big institutional investors dump the stock. Everybody wanted to sell out. And this is, by the way, Warren Buffett's quote himself, where he's saying that because of this little nuance, what happened was that the market became slightly inefficient for a short period of time, right? So in his definition, it looks like short period of time is at least 6 to 8 months. That is also something to note, right? So this was another nuance that was there. Now what we'll do is, so we've seen how the Tino we've seen how Tino की जो story है वो कैसे develop हुई, how it impacted, how the stock kind of crashed, what were the nuances that led to this particularly horrendous crash. Now what we're going to do is we'll understand a little bit more about American Express, the company itself as it was, as a movie, as it was folding all the way up to 1963 when this incident. अब समझते हैं American Express की story. So basically business around 1850 में form हुआ था और उसका कॉन्टेक्स्ट ये था कि 1836 में जो आई थिंक द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, यूएस की फेडरल गवर्नमेंट थी, उन्होंने इंटर बैंक सिस्टम होता था विच कनेक्टेड द बैंक्स, दे डिसॉल्व दैट सिस्टम. So what that meant was there was an entity that was responsible for making sure कि between banks, right, banks actually transact with each other quite a lot. So if I want to, there's something called interbank lending where within a bank I can, for for 10 days or for 15 days or whatever, I want liquidity, so I can give the other bank the securities I have and lend against that, right? So this is a very common feature. Now it's done obviously through through digital systems and all that, but us time obviously these securities or gold or bonds, they had to physically travel from one bank's vault to another. 1836 में, for whatever reason, it has been given in the book in much more detail. इनकी फेडरल गवर्नमेंट ने, यूएस ने, इस इंटरबैंक सिस्टम को हटा दिया. सो देयर वाज दिस ओपन स्पेस, हाउ बैंक्स विल बी एबल टू interact with each other and kind of borrow or lend money to each other. और इसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में एक सर्विस शुरू हुई जिसका नाम था एक्सप्रेस सर्विसेज. एक्सप्रेस सर्विसेज आर नथिंग बट बॉडीगार्ड्स ऑफ कैश, राइट? आज भी वो सेम बिजनेस मॉडल्स ऑपरेट करते हैं इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी. जैसे आप देखें, रेडियंट कैश मैनेजमेंट है, सीएमएस इन्फो सिस्टम्स है, although they are moving away from simply cash management, but that's the core. तीसरा है SIS प्रोसिग्योर, आई डोंट नो प्रोनाउंसिएशन ठीक है नहीं है, बट ये ट्रक जो आपने देखा होगा काफी रोड्स पे, दिस इज व्हाट एग्जैक्टली दे आर डूइंग, दे आर बॉडीगार्ड्स फॉर कैश, एंड इट्स द सेम ओल्ड बिजनेस मॉडल दैट वाज देयर इन 1815. 1815 में 3 अलग एक्सप्रेस कंपनीज मर्ज हुई बिकॉज देयर वाज अ लॉट ऑफ कंपटीशन, सो दे सेड कि यार मर्ज होके शायद से बेटर होगा, एंड दे फॉर्म्ड the American Express company, right? But fundamentally what American Express does is it's a bodyguard of cash, right? On top of that, over time they built other business models that became very, very successful, and by 1963 the company had been in operations for 113 years, right? So roughly 113 years, which means that obviously if a company or a brand name had survived for that long, there was some sort of brand equity, and they had some sort of competitive advantage, right? That's one. So and in 1963 जब तक ये केस, ये स्कैंडल ब्रेकआउट हुआ, they had 10 different businesses या segments that were there, right? So they had Traveler's Check, which was giving majority of the revenue, and I think around 1/3 at least 50% of the profit. There were money orders. Again, this is in those times a relatively more innovative way of transferring money. So if I want to send money to a friend these days, I can do UPI, or I can do net banking. Obviously these are relatively newer services. उस दौरान क्या होता था कि I will go to a American Express की outlet or a branch, and I will pay the money to the person. That person behind the desk will issue a money order. उस money order को मैं बाय पोस्ट अपने दोस्त को भेज सकता हूँ या अपनी फैमिली को भेज सकता हूँ, ताकि वो वहां पे उस मनी ऑर्डर को फिर बैंक जाके चेक इन कैश करा सके. सो इट वाज काइंड ऑफ लाइक अ चेक, but a very fundamental way of transacting in cash, right? Or giving cash or transferring cash, right? So that's what it was. And on top of the express business, they started off as bodyguards for cash. One by one, they found that these were the gaps, and they, kind of kept adding these different business lines, right? Traveler's Checks was also something very similar, but it was more geared towards people who were traveling, right? Who were on the move. And 1950s, 1960s, में post World War II, there was a relatively huge economic boom, जहाँ पे लोग काफी travel कर रहे थे for business. People also started to kind of open up, and this is where I think baby boomer generation started to take off. So there was a lot of traveling, and this is where American Express has 66% market share. They also did utility bills. Credit cards was a very relatively new business segment. They had opened in 1958, and actually the first 3-4 years it struggled until they hired somebody who was very competent. And by 1963, actually, 1963, the credit cards were doing very, very well. So there was a lot of equity in the American Express brand, and they were among the largest players in credit cards, right? So, and this was a new business segment, it was very profitable. So there was a lot going on for the business as well, right? So it wasn't that the business was struggling or anything. American Express as the core business was doing very, very well. And somewhere in a subsidiary that did not fit into the overall business model, there was this trouble, and all of a sudden this trouble seemed to be very, मतलब काफी ज़्यादा liabilities थी जो हमने बात की 200 million plus and whatnot, right? So this is an example of the American Express credit card. आज की डेट में, as we all know, American Express card is a status, almost like a status symbol, and I think you have to pay 1 lakh rupees per year or something like that just to have the card, and it has multiple benefits and all that. So the American Express brand has been strong, was strong in 1963 as well, and you know it had 100 years of operating history. अगर हम results भी check करते हैं, financials leading up to 1963, the revenue had increased from 37, I think this is 37 million, 42 million, 47, 53, 59. So I mean, business was growing. It was growing at 11% CAGR, mind you. The 11% CAGR in that context, in today's context, are very different, different inflation numbers and all that, right? So it was growing decently. Net income increased from 4 million to 11 million. So it was almost like a, और कुछ नहीं तो 10% to slightly more than 10% net profit margin business. The Traveler's Check, जो उनका core business है, these were, I mean, that was also growing. Customer deposits and credit balances, that was growing. Shareholder equity grew from 41 million to 78 million, right? Return on equity increased from 11.5% all the way, it's been increasing to 15.3%, right? So the business was, मतलब ये कहना काफी मुश्किल होगा कि the business was struggling. In fact, it was a thriving business. It was doing very, very well until, you know, this crisis at the American Express warehousing company emerged, right? So eventually, the real fundamental question that Warren Buffett was asking himself was, is the scandal impairing the value of the American Express most important asset by far? Basically, its reputation as a bodyguard of cash. So that was one of the core questions that needed to be answered, because business to grow kar hi raha tha. Credit cards as a new segment had kind of emerged and it was doing well. So the core question was, क्या इस स्कैंडल की वजह से लोगों का ट्रस्ट ब्रेक होगा, जिसकी वजह से अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस का जो कोर बिजनेस है that will be shaken up, right? And this is the part of the story where Warren Buffett kind of comes into the story, and how he had been evolving as an investor, और कैसे इस दौरान, इस juncture of time पे 1963 में Warren Buffett कहाँ से आ रहे थे as an individual, as an investor, and this is where that part of the story comes in. अब आते हैं थर्ड पार्ट ऑफ द स्टोरी, जहां पे वॉरेन बफेट एज एन इन्वेस्टर कैसे इवॉल्व होके इस पॉइंट पे पहुंच रहे थे. नाउ द थिंग इज, अप अंटिल नाउ वॉरेन बफेट जो उनका मेथड है या जो स्टाइल है, वट एवर वी अंडरस्टैंड ऑफ इट, नाउ ऑब्वियसली नोबडी रियली अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट वाज गोइंग ऑन, बट जितना भी पॉपुलर लिटरेचर या उनके खुद के लेटर से ऐसा माना जाता है कि इस पॉइंट तक वो मोस्टली एक बैलेंस शीट इन्वेस्टर थे, इन द सेंस दैट ही यूज्ड टू लुक फॉर मोस्टली tangible assets and he used to look for discounts on tangible value of the assets, right? So that is what we mean जब हम बोल रहे हैं कि वो बैलेंस शीट इन्वेस्टर थे, right? दूसरी चीज जो हमें ध्यान में रखनी चाहिए कि एक्चुअली वॉरेन बफेट ने 5-6 महीने तक इस स्टॉक के गिरने के 5-6 महीने तक उन्होंने स्टॉक नहीं खरीदा था. So this is a big point. And third is, there were 3 fundamental questions that as an analyst, as an investor, Warren Buffett most likely had to answer, which is कि एक liabilities क्या है और कैसे ये solve होगी problem, दूसरा trust क्या maintain रहेगा इस scandal के बावजूद, और तीसरा कि ये business fundamentally how is the business doing. हमें ये पता है कि नवंबर 1963 में I think this is November 1963, not 64. But anyway, November 1963 में 7 दिन बाद, 8 दिन बाद जब कंपनी ने बैंक्रप्सी डिक्लेयर की और जितने भी जो क्लेम्स आए बाहर, तो उन्होंने, जो प्रेसिडेंट थे उस टाइम, उन्होंने कहा कि इफ आवर सब्सिडियरी शुड बी हेल्ड लायबल फॉर अमाउंट्स इन एक्सेस ऑफ जो भी है, अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस फील्स मॉरली रिस्पॉन्सिबल, राइट, बाउंड टू डू एवरीथिंग. सो दिस वाज अ पॉजिटिव साइन इन द सेंस कि अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस जो है अपने ब्रांड इक्विटी को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए कुछ भी करेगी. एक और नुआंस इसमें यह भी है कि बिकॉज अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस हैड सच अ क्लोज knit relationship with the banks, the whole idea, the whole business model of traveler checks, of money orders, of credit cards, everything was linked directly to the banks. Banks were on the other side of the table, and American Express was facilitating the kind of cash transaction, or movement of cash through for the banks in a way, right? So both had a very synergistic kind of business model, and it was in the interest of the banks also that American Express should survive, right? Because there was so much interdependency, right? तो ये स्टेटमेंट जो है सीईओ और आई थिंक प्रेसिडेंट उस टाइम पे उन्होंने ये स्टेटमेंट निकाली. सो दिस वाज अ वेरी वेरी पॉजिटिव स्टेटमेंट, राइट? दिस इज 8 days आफ्टर द बैंक्रप्सी. फिर जनवरी 2024 में, सॉरी 2024, जनवरी 1964 में पहली फॉर्मल मीटिंग हुई क्रेडिटर्स की, जहां पे 28 जनवरी को, एक महीने बाद बैंक्रप्सी पे, जहां पे जो क्लेम्स हैं वो बाहर निकल के आए, एंड इट वाज रियलाइज दैट एक्चुअली द claims were no more than 35 to 40 million tops, right? So जो original figure 2010 million का आया था निकल के, this was not really true because there were a bunch of reasons. पहली बात, American Express was also going to get insurance for some of the amount. Secondly, Angelino Tino had actually defrauded American Express also, and it had by the end he had started to issue fake receipts in the name of Amex, and then showing these receipts to the banks, because remember he was using this oil inventory to actually borrow money and then speculate into the commodity markets. तो जब commodity markets में उसको loss होने लगा, he had to actually source more cash from these, and then at the same time American Express was also not very keen. They were not very keen on issuing or continuing with the business. So he actually ended up creating these fake receipts and then borrowing from banks, right? So because of these reasons, the actual liability जो निकल के आई वो 35 से 40 million का अमाउंट जो है वो बाहर आया, as opposed to the 210 million. So again, by January 1964 there was some sort of clarity कि ये जो liabilities हैं उनका upper जो limit है वो क्या होगा, right? So this was kind of positive, but Warren Buffett did not buy just yet, right? There was also the question of trust, right? So by April जो है, I think there was another article in Forbes या Fortune magazine में एक article था जिसने ये भी बताया कि जो Amex की क्रेडिट कार्ड्स की परफॉर्मेंस है वो कितनी रोबस्ट है. आई थिंक इट ग्रो 28% इन December 23 compared to December 1963 compared to December 1962. So the business also was doing well. The fundamental question still remained कि क्या सैलिड ऑयल स्कैंडल की वजह से क्या लोगों ने अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस के जो मनी ऑर्डर्स है, ट्रैवलर्स चेक है, इनको इनकैश करना बंद करा है, क्या यूसेज इनका बंद हो गया है? Then that became the question once the liability part was somewhat taken care of, right? And for this, to me at least, ये सबसे ज्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट था कि कैसे उन्होंने स्कटलबट परफॉर्म किया. नॉट कि मतलब स्कटलबट किया, बट जो शायद आज रिलेटिवली मोर कॉमन है आज के इन्वेस्टिंग काइंड ऑफ इकोसिस्टम में. But the extent to which he went, right? He hired this guy, no doubt he was somebody else, but this person went and interviewed, I don't know, tens or whatever number of people that were involved in the ecosystem of this traveler's checks and money orders and credit cards and all that. So they interviewed bank tellers, bank officers, restaurants, hotels, credit card holders, and basically acquired a lot of on ground evidence कि क्या स्कैंडल की वजह से ट्रस्ट टूट रहा है अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस ब्रांड में या नहीं. And what they found out was that it was business as usual, that not anything or not a lot had changed because of the salad oil scandal. So this was a huge plus, and this was one can say a differentiated insight जो शायद और market participants को उतनी अच्छी तरह से नहीं समझ आ रही थी, right? And this became a huge advantage. So now you have the liability question taken care of, or at least you had an estimate कि कंपनी शायद सर्वाइव तो कर ही जाएगी, एंड इट वाज इन द बैंक्स इंटरेस्ट, जिसको अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस को जिनको पैसा देना था, इट वाज इन देयर इंटरेस्ट फॉर अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस टू सर्वाइव. अनदर नुआंस इज दैट अमेरिकन जो बैंक्स है, दे नेवर सूड अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस, एंड दे expressed that they wanted to settle with American Express, right? So that is another nuance. Secondly, the trust part was also taken care of. We also know that the business part, like I mentioned, there was an article in Forbes या जो भी है, and last 10 years of the business history was doing well. Credit cards were growing well, the new business segment, and they had become a leader in credit cards within around 8 years or 5 years of kind of introducing that product. So even on the business angle, things were looking comfortable. Now the question kind of came down to the valuation, right? So let's take a look at the valuation side. At around the time Buffett was buying, the stock price was $40 per share, right? The market cap was 178.4 million. The enterprise value, so I presume they had some sort of working capital debt or thereabouts. So that was less. Enterprise value was around 124 million. और EV by EBITDA जो multiple है वो 7.8x है, right? और प्राइस टू अर्निंग है 15.8. अब 15.8 अगर आप आज की डेट से इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कंपेयर करेंगे फॉर अ बिजनेस लाइक अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस, तो शायद आपको बहुत ही रीजनेबल लगेगा. बट अगर आप उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में लेंगे, or या फिर going back to what the kind of valuations they were able to get companies at 3, 4, 5 times kind of price to earning for one reason or another, less competition या जो भी है. So उस context में, and even the valuations at which Warren Buffett himself had been investing up to that point, शायद से 15.8x was actually on the higher side purely based on the multiple itself. If you did a DCF using some estimates that are again given in the book, अगर आप सिर्फ 5 साल का अगर आप DCF करते हैं जहाँ पे अर्निंग सिर्फ 10% से ग्रो करेगी, और जैसे हमने देखा 10% से अर्निंग्स ग्रो कर रही थी, नए प्रोडक्ट्स इंट्रोड्यूस हो चुके थे जो सक्सेसफुल थे. इवन ट्रैवलर चेक जो उनका सबसे बड़ा बिजनेस था, उस दौरान सिर्फ 20% ऑफ द टोटल ट्रैवलिंग मनी was done through traveler's check. So American Express had reasons to believe कि जो कोर बिजनेस है, पुराना बिजनेस ट्रैवलर चेक का, वो भी ग्रो करेगा. So these were very reasonable estimates, और इनके बेसिस पे एक रेंज निकल के आई जो बुक में दी गई है, जो $40 to $70 है. एक और सोर्स मैंने यूज किया है वैल्यूएशंस के लिए, जिसका लिंक मैं दे सकता हूँ कमेंट्स में अगर आप लिखेंगे, तो वहां पे $20 to $60 की रेंज निकल के आई है. पॉइंट ये था इस रेंज का, और जैसे वॉरेन बफेट बोलते हैं, how much good does that do you to know that something is worth between 30 and 110? अगर आप भी इस रेंज को देखेंगे तो मतलब क्या है, $30 का है, $110 की है कंपनी. रेंज का फायदा ये है कि आप ये क्लियरली बता सकते हैं कि अगर $30 या उसके अंडर एक कंपनी ट्रेड कर रही है, राइट, तो इट इज ऑन द लोअर एंड एंड इट इज वेरी हाईली दैट इट इज अंडर वैल्यूड. और अगर शायद $110 या 110 रुपये पे ट्रेड करिए, इट मीन्स इट इज अंडर वैल्यूड. सो in this context, शायद Warren Buffett was able to kind of make a judgment combining the three factors, which is liabilities were taken care of, the business itself was looking decent, and the valuations was although not as cheap जो standard वो use करते थे उस time तक, but it seemed to be fairly attractive. And based on that, Warren Buffett invested around 40% of his net worth. So again, this is us talking about this 70 years later, तो शायद से there were many more nuances जो हमें नहीं पता है, but the point is that these are the three kind of storylines that converge. These were the conditions that happened that led to Warren Buffett investing 40% of his portfolio. Now, this is a rare situation, this is a rare individual, and this is a rare kind of valuation also for that company. It's a rare company also. These things kind of converge to, that went into this bet happening. So the point we're trying to make is that when you say कि concentrate कर लेना चाहिए, I think most of us do not understand the depth. किस level of depth तक research जानी चाहिए, या किस level of hard work that goes into reaching that kind of concentration levels. A lot of retail investors, a lot of investors underestimate जो मेहनत जाती है, and शायद से this episode or a more renewed evidence for this episode gives us a better understanding कैसे शायद हम भी अपनी research को better कर सकते हैं, right? So hopefully this was a great video. If you're still watching and you haven't subscribed, I would highly urge. There are more great videos coming. Thank you so much, and please don't forget to share this video. Thanks.